I'm Beck Wilson, EVP of Australia and Singapore for We Communications. I hope you enjoy my speech today. Winter is coming, and the value of being a ruthless editor of your own life. Have you ever had an experience that you expected to be routine, mundane even, only to have it lead to a profound disruption of perspective? I want to start by sharing one of those with you now that led to a tremendous shift in my own life and the way that I believe we all can unlock greater creativity and impact with our work. I was speaking to my daughter's second grade class a few years back. As part of International Women's Day, this class of all girls talked about what they wanted to be when they grew up. And their answers reflected the uninfluenced state of their mind at the time. There were no boundaries, no biases, no societal imprint on their young thinking. They were free to dream and to aspire to be whatever they wanted to be. What they said to me excited me for a future where gender was no longer relevant in the diversity discussion and where those young minds could create a future that was without boundary. I want to be a scientist, one said. Another, an astronaut. I can rule Australia as Prime Minister. I want to be a teacher. I repeated this same exercise a few years later, and the contrast was as incredible as it was disheartening. There was a sameness in their responses. Their thinking was bridled. They were already conforming to the influences around them. Where they once dreamed of leading a nation, they had moderated and muted their fresh thinking. 15 different answers 2 years previously were now 3. Scientists, teachers and lawyers. All important careers, but when and how had they evaluated their options? What had happened to the individual aspirations? This phenomenon came to the front of my mind recently at a critical moment in my work. We were brainstorming a concept for a major client campaign, and I'd brought together a group of 20 exceptional thinkers. I expected a vibrant and thought-provoking discussion to land us with that big idea to underpin our campaign. There was discussion and there were ideas, but there were far more nodding heads and less divergence in thinking that I knew existed in each of them individually. The sum of them had become a shade of grey that was disinterested, afraid, or perhaps just unconfident. It crystallised for me that the loudest voices of the room had predetermined the campaign before the group had even entered the room. It wasn't a bad campaign. In fact, it was pretty good. But did I think it could have been better and stronger if we'd heard from the choir instead of that soloist? Absolutely. Even if the campaign didn't change, the mere fact that it was being challenged, tested, edited, is a discipline that produces the best work and creates a culture of a safe space to share ideas. Think of the creative work that you love, that you're envious of, that you aspire to. Do you think that the Legos Rebuild the World or WeTransfer's Please Leave campaign came together with a bunch of silent, nodding heads in a room? Instead, just like my daughter's class, we had lost our truest, most uninhibited selves to the pull of conformity. And it left me with this question. Is our human need to conform the biggest barrier to creativity and our sense of self? Like all of you, I'm well placed to understand the power of influence as it sits at the very core of our industry and my job. It's the very essence of what we're engaged to do. And yet, even as we work in this field, we are just as susceptible to those same influences, whether overt or subliminal, that drives us to conformity. The sameness contagion has never been stronger. Social media doesn't just surround it. It infiltrates all parts of our lives. We see what others want us to see, and we're herded into tribes that connect our commonality and serve up that content that feeds our sameness. The algorithms that control our social existence have rewired the way we think and behave. In fact, I suspect that many of us have been or are right now trapped in that same pressure to conform as my daughter's class and that boardroom. Ask yourself, have you nodded your way through a meeting even though you knew you had something more to contribute? Have you delivered work because you believed in it or because it seemed like what people wanted? Is it a benefit to you and your career to be tough and resilient? Or is actually being your more vulnerable, emotional state a better asset and representative of you? I know you're nodding, and I am too. Just like social media uses algorithms to serve us personalised content, we need to train our personal wiring that brings awareness and discipline to combat this. How do we find our own answers to our questions and ensure our opinions are truly ours? How do we embrace a process of ongoing transformation, the ability to edit our thinking, our behaviours, and our approach to what we do for work, family, and our lives? It starts with defining and then protecting what I call our purpose print, a truly unique identity that comes from combining who we are and what we stand for, our purpose, and the creative DNA that exists in all of us. Unlike our DNA or our fingerprint, our purpose print can be created as much as it lives within us, and it can and should evolve, transform, and change over time. Neither purpose nor creativity can be static. I've seen this with some of the most influential business leaders in the world that I get to work with. They are successful because they have defined their purpose print and have embraced a leadership elasticity that enables self-reflection and a confidence to change their perspective. They are natural self-editors. I look to leaders like Peter Johnson, who remain true to the values entrenched at the Cotton On Group to guide them through the challenges of the pandemic. And to New Zealand's Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, who speaks of adapting her style with empathy and self-reflection when responding to major challenges in her country. This goes beyond skills or capabilities. Rather, it defines creativity as a way of thinking and a way of behaving. And embracing this approach fuels our purpose and creates our purpose print. And this allows us to stay relevant and unlock greater impact and influence. How do you create your purpose print? It takes time, and unlike the almost gravitational pull of conformity, it is an intentional effort that can't be set and forgotten. It is a constant evolution, and it happens by proceeding through these 3 steps. Explore your core, define your values, and my favourite, edit ruthlessly. So let's start with exploring your core. To do it, you need to find and embrace your ikigai. This is a Japanese concept for the reason we get up in the morning. The ikigai is hidden deep inside of us and requires finding the powerful intersection of what you love, what you're good at, and what the world needs. I wrote down what I love doing, bringing people together. What I was good at, bringing the right people together. And what the world needed, communities that have positive influence and impact. I like to create partnerships, and I use the combined value of those partnerships to pass on something to others. And I realised that if community was so important to me, then it was likely to be to others as well. My ikigai is powerful in its simplicity. If you're challenged in this process, shake things up with physical exploration. Taking a trip or adventure every year on your own. Be anonymous and exposed to just you and environments unknown. Several years ago, I was fortunate enough to take a sabbatical, and I left my work identity on the kitchen table, along with my laptop, my Melbourne winter coat, and my work pass, and I spent 4 amazing months exploring an undefined me. I've always considered myself to be great with words, so it's not surprising that I landed in communication. But what I discovered on that sabbatical was a visual creativeness I didn't know existed. I was awoken to this part of my brain. And I found myself gravitating towards new experiences outside of the norm, which have informed and powered my purpose print ever since. Once you've found your ikigai, you need to validate. For me, this meant polling trusted friends and colleagues to understand how I was perceived by them and whether it actually lined up with my own assessment. It provided both that validation as well as the opportunity for refinement. Secondly, you then need to define your values. Once you've found your core, articulate it through values, using them as an anchor to guide you to approach to life and work. My journey led me to 4: loyalty, authenticity, curiosity, and compassion. Defined values can give you the courage to express your own original views in agreement or disagreement, knowing that even facing rejection, you're being true to self. They've helped me be more authentic and curious every day with my own teams, and they empowered me to look for what comes next. And finally, this is my favourite, edit ruthlessly. With your purpose and values defined, now you're ready to become the Anna Wintour of your life. Or perhaps you're more the Cruella type. Whichever one, never stop editing. Edit your social circles. Our physical communities are being replaced by social media, and contrarian views are disappearing, not only from our social feeds, but from our lives. Ban the expression, "we don't have much in common," from your vocabulary, and use it instead to drive your curiosity about other people. Edit the social activities you're expected to attend and think about what you actually want to attend. Edit your path in life by finding mentors and encouraging face-to-face interaction. Don't let key milestones like anniversaries or promotions just pass you by. Use them as checkpoints to see if you're still growing in accordance with those values. And edit the information you take in by continually exposing yourself to books, podcasts, films, anything that keeps your mind open and enable you to explore alternate perspectives. Find and bookmark the daily inspiration you look to each morning to stay fresh. With a new foundation for knowing yourself and consistently, ruthlessly editing your lives now in place, how does this practice manifest and deliver value with our work? There is both an opportunity for individuals to influence the creative culture in the workplace and for good organisations to provide the fertile soil to cultivate an environment that embraces, that nurtures change, nourishing the purpose print in all of us. For individuals, I believe our purpose print gives us the power to disrupt and edit the everyday patterns in our work lives. We can stay fresh by saying yes more often. This is the essence of being open-minded to other ideas and thoughts, and a simple, small way to get more familiar doing new things. We can get comfortable with being uncomfortable, countering opinions and expressing a point of view. We can create space for others and encourage quieter colleagues in the room to share their experiences and thoughts. Our workplaces are also right for this thinking. Using our purpose print as a starting point, we can build better teams that are truly diverse in terms of experience, capabilities, age and perspectives. We can develop action-orientated plans for creating a culture of freedom, of expression and opinion. And most of all, we can make sure we never stand still. Much like the need for individuals to edit, our organisations must constantly evolve and keep evaluating themselves in a time of near constant disruption. It's early in my own journey, but I've already taken the first steps of defining my ikigai and my values, and I'm applying this to my decision making. At work, in my professional life, I'm making different choices. I'm saying no to opportunities that don't align with my values and bringing more authenticity and vulnerability to how I lead. I hope to come back and share more next year, hopefully in person. But in the meantime, I'd like to leave you with this. This isn't an easy process and it's not quick, but the choice is clear. The influences that lead to sameness are only growing stronger. And when we fall to the easy pull of conformity, We become the silent, nodding head in the room, and we stagnate as a result. Whether you use this process or something uniquely your own, I believe we can take on the discipline to cultivate the radical self-honesty needed to bring our authentic selves to our lives and to our work. That's how we're going to help a class of young girls keep dreaming big. And it's how 20 voices in a room don't produce blandness, but greatness. I hope you can commit here and now to discovering your purpose print, embracing your own inner winter, and never stop keeping conformity at bay. Thank you.